Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of the BH Sales Kennel Kelp Holistic Healing Hour. I'm going to cut right to the chase because we got our buddy Seth here. We got to get him to the next venture. And what we're going to do is we're going to segue right in. Welcome everybody, and thanks for being here. I'm going to have Seth kind of exchange some stories, and I'm going to segue right in. I've been talking a lot, for those of you that do come through, about Abbot, Vaughn, Meader, and I think that might be a great place to start.
Perfect place. And I was telling Bill earlier, like, I wrote about this in my book, but I've never really talked about it publicly. So it's quite fascinating that it just came up like this and you mentioned it. And it's fascinating for a whole bunch of reasons. Yep, that's my book. That's where I wrote about Abbot, and I had the great blessing of becoming a really close friend. And, so in 1963, his album, he's a Kennedy impressionist. He had, like, people say he sounds more like Kennedy than Kennedy does.
I've said it many times, but he did. Continue.
And so in 1963, he put out an album called The First Family. It was like a comedy album. And it sold more copies than the Beatles, broke all records at that point of anybody, record sales. And so he became mega famous. All these Hollywood people back then, movie star friends.
You know them all.
You
know them all.
All of them. Sinatra, Rat Pack, the Rat Pack. But do you remember when that album came out?
I do, because I said to, and all you comedians, I wasn't real old. I was 9, but I was like 9 years old. That's how long ago it was.
And you remember the album?
I do, because I'm such a music fan, really seriously, and my mom and music, you had to be there, but I did. Yeah. I don't know if I would, like, knew it then. I appreciated it much more in retrospect, a few years later. But I did, and I remember him being on all the talk shows at that time. And he definitely made it quick, and he got some quick renown. Continue.
Well, that's what's so fascinating about this is, you look at, like, somebody who has that level of fame. Where's the camera here, just so I know to look at?
You're good. Yeah, good. Okay. Yeah, you're good. Yep.
So anyway, he made this album, and it was a comedy album. And in its day, like, it was pretty controversial. I mean, if we listen to it now, we'd be like, what's controversial about it?
That's nothing. Yeah.
But it's really good. Like,
so
good. There's a lot of references to things that neither of us know about because it was back then,
Correct.
And when Kennedy, I think he was famous for like a couple years at most or something.
And then when the assassination did happen,
nobody. Sorry.
That's okay.
Phone.
Okay, go ahead. I'll keep.
Shut it. No, I'll be right.
Okay, well, while he's off camera, a little bit about Vaughn Meader. I do remember him. I definitely do, and I remember the album. And then, like I say, I got to appreciate it like a fine wine a little bit later.
Just want to shut the ringer off.
Yeah, that's okay.
So he had like this meteoric rise to fame. Sold more records than anybody had at that point.
Including the Beatles.
Yep. 1963. And then when Kennedy died, they said, because I've read a lot of old articles about him, and it said that Vaughn Meader's just nobody wanted to be near him or hear anything about him because it made them feel sad,
It's so true, because I was at that point in time about 10 or 11, so I am more cognizant of the aftermath and how they didn't want any part of him.
So talk about a bipolar level of fame, right? Like, to become world known, not world famous, but like everywhere in the Western world.
He was pretty. He was pretty.
He was that big, huh?
Yeah, oh, he was that big, and it happened so quickly. I guess he was kind of the overnight sensation, but he was so much deeper and better than that. So, but I mean, it happened so quickly.
He is a tremendous talent.
Yes,
like a singer, songwriter, guitarist, piano. Like, he did it all,
and he knew every musician, studio, big time musician. He knew everybody.
He was like as famous as you can get for that time period, and not like this Illuminati famous type thing.
No,
he wasn't involved with that, like, for him. Right. But
listen, Frank Sinatra, not Jim.
That's
Frank Sinatra. Right. I mean, no, but I mean, if Frank Sinatra is coming at you, I mean, you got some talent.
They invited him to be in the Rat Pack.
The Rat Pack.
That's pretty serious.
The Rat Pack, everybody. If you're real young, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., the Rat Pack. Look it up. But yeah, they were the Cat's Meow. So I mean, just by that, you know that he was great. If you aren't familiar with him.
Well, and I had when I first met him, well, years later, my mother and father told me, they're like, "Look, we have his record."
Yeah,
and they
I'm
had
sure
it from
they
way
did.
back.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sure they did.
It was just funny how they happen to have it,
Yeah.
but I didn't talk to them for a while.
Yeah.
At that point, but so I had a friend who's like, "I want to introduce you to this guy named Vaughn Meader," and he's like, he goes, "You guys have a lot in common." I'm like, okay. Now at that point in my life, I was a disaster. I was like 19 years old or something, shooting.
Yep.
You know,
it's in the book. Yep.
$1,000 worth of heroin a day.
Wow.
$500 to $1,000 every day, and was literally on the verge of death. And it was, I didn't care though, because at that point I had been through so much that I was like, I'm ready to go anytime. Of course, that wasn't what happened. I decided that that's not going to be my fate, you know? So anyway, my friend introduced us, and there's a place next door to him that was for rent. And so I ended up renting it. And Vaughn Meader lived next door.
That's crazy.
And you know, the house, we had lead paint all over it, lead chips everywhere, just a dump, you know?
Right.
But I moved in there with, at the time, one of my best friends, and
was that Damien? Damien, yeah.
And Abbot was a severe alcoholic at that point. Like, he had just washed up, got so depressed. Since his career just shot down, he became a hippie, gave away everything he had, just went through that literal kind of like archetypal change from being at the top of the world to being at the bottom. And
that quickly.
He's a Pisces sun like me, you know.
And you, that's right. And me.
So it's easy to get depressed or let down.
And listen, y'all know about my thing. Mine was alcohol, so I can definitely connect. Yeah, Vaughn. Continue.
So he would come over feeling bad for himself, but he'd look around and see needles and syringes and all that, and he started kind of smiling. And we were like, no, he didn't do it. He didn't want anything to do with it.
I'm sorry.
But he was like, wow. He goes, these guys are in their late teens, early 20s. I think I'm bad. Look at them. So seeing how messed up we were gave him hope. Actually, he was like, oh, I'm not that bad. When he was... So he basically was like, you know, we just started hanging out and talking, and he would try to be like, oh, you know, we'd hide drugs and stuff. Because he would start to try to school us, you know, out of love and kindness and care. He didn't want to see us the worst.
That was generational at that time, too.
He's been around a lot. All that stuff. But he came over one day and he's like, you know, I haven't done any acid for a long time.
Oh, so he had done something?
No, he hadn't. He hadn't done it for a long time.
But nobody had done
He went through the whole hippie psychedelic thing. Because after his career crashed, he became
correct.
And he's like, can you get me any? And I said, yeah.
I'd probably help you.
And so I gave him 10 hits. I said, probably do a half a hit. It's really strong, you know?
Do all 10? And oh my God.
So what happened was, he would go play at this club in Palo Alto. Yeah. Most nights.
Yeah. I know the one you're talking about, but I can't give you the name. But I see the strip.
The Wharf.
There you go. Thank you.
So he would go on the Wharf, and he was like always the sit-in musician. He'd play piano, he'd tell jokes, he'd sing songs. Just what he did. And he would get really, really drunk every night.
Billy Hammond, yeah.
And then one morning I wake up and I hear, the door knocking.
Pounding, yeah.
His wife, she lives upstairs, he lives at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
She won't live with him.
Okay, I got it.
He's an alcoholic and he's insane.
Right.
He's very loud, very amazing person, but very nostalgic too. Like, he's like a walking encyclopedia of information.
He knew everybody.
Oh my God.
He knew everybody.
But she's knocking on my door.
Oh God.
Help, Seth, help.
Was he?
And so I'm like, what? She goes, I don't know. She's like, something happened to Abbott. He's crazy, lost his mind. So I walked.
On the acid. Yeah, okay, on the acid. Yep, okay.
I mean, I wasn't laughing at first.
No,
I didn't know what I was facing.
You didn't know what you were going to walk into?
Yeah.
You didn't know you were going to walk
So I go out, because it's like literally right there. Right. You live like, throw a stone and hit each other's house, you know?
Right.
And I walk in, I'm like, hey, Ab, what's going on? And he's like, didn't even like know I was there. He had all his chairs set up. Well, I told you, Mr. President, and these children are being neglected. And he's going off on all these things. But it was wild because I got chills. I'm getting chills thinking about it now. Because he was like,
flashing back.
He was flashing back into all of this stuff. And I was like, whoa, okay. And so I just stayed there for a while and watched him. And she didn't know what to do. I said, and it began to click. Like, okay, something, I didn't know what. And so I let him just do his thing. And he did it for a while. And then he started getting kind of tired. And he went and laid down. And I went home. And then later in the day, he called me Space. That was
Space. That was your nickname. Okay, I like it.
Space. Noggin. So he's like, yeah. He goes, I was at the wharf, and then I came home once they closed, and this is midnight, 1 in the morning, whatever. Came home, and he goes, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try what
I'm gonna try that acid. I'm gonna try it at 2 o'clock in the morning,
exactly,
or whatever. Yeah.
So he took the whole thing, 10 hits.
Oh my God.
Drunk as could be.
Yep.
And he said he didn't even think about it. He just went right into bed to lay down. But then he said he woke up.
Oh, I'll bet he did.
Everything was all mystical.
I bet he did.
And he's having this like past life regression. All this stuff is happening. And then by the time I saw him in the morning, he was just
out.
Well, he was just like so deep. Like I said, he didn't even know I was there.
That's pretty deep. Yep.
Yeah,
that's pretty deep.
But the way he was talking, he's good. I tell you, Mr. President, blah. Like he's repeating all of these different.
Do you think he thought he was actually seeing people in the chairs? Who knows? But do you think he probably was thinking?
I mean,
I'm playing to an audience, but he was
like, if you trip really hard, you definitely
really
see things that it's questionable whether they're really there or not. I
exchanged with Seth. Listen, long ago, far away. I always joke around. I broke Timothy Leary in. That's definitely a joke. But when he said he did 10, listen, way back, and I was a drunk too. I did 5 one time, and that was 4-way window pane for those of you that are connoisseurs of acid and back in the day. 10 is, woo, man.
But that was normal for me back then.
Yeah.
Now I don't. I can't. I look back and I'm like, how did I ever do that?
How are we here? How are we here? Really, seriously.
Oh,
and you more so. I mean, near-death experiences you've had. I've had 2.
Yeah.
But what you had, like 50 or something?
I mean, it depends on what you call a near-death experience.
In the book,
lots of overdoses.
In the book, man.
Car accidents. I got hypothermia once and almost died. Lots. Car accidents, all kinds of things, overdoses, all of it. But anyway, that happened, and he's like, you know what? He goes, I went in, I ate the whole thing, and then I felt this thing happen. He goes, I saw God. He goes, it totally changed my perspective. I'm done drinking.
I'm done.
And so that began this renaissance where for him, he's like reborn in a sense. And he's calling up all his old friends, musicians from all over the country. And a lot of them out of Nashville. And so he's calling and people are coming up. And next thing we're having these events.
Oh my God.
And we're just playing music and partying. And oh my God, these musicians are just like, top
Nashville, come on.
Oh,
Nashville, a little bit famous for music.
And so to meet the people that knew him from back in the day
and
before
get to listen to their music too. I mean, that's a pretty good deal.
So that was it. And so it kicked off this renaissance for him, like a rebirth. And he began to love life again. And oh man, it just was amazing. So for a couple of years, we were just doing this nonstop, a lot of psychedelics for sure.
Oh, for sure. It was the era.
It was the era.
I was there too. No, I wasn't there, but I was there.
Well, and I'll tell you, this is kind of what happened. Because whenever we talk about stuff, he would be like, don't get into the music or acting or any of that. Don't get into Hollywood. He's like, it's evil, all that. And it's like, well, I'm not planning on it, but definitely not planning on it. And so this guy, Tom Hanks, sent this kid.
Tom Hanks, by the way.
Tom Hanks, because they wanted to get the story of Vaughn Meader,
Yeah.
So this kid was sent up to Maine, and he was just as tight ass you could be, super judgmental.
Oh yeah.
Like, he's being mentored by Tom Hanks how to talk to people and get a story out of
Correct,
them to make
correct.
a movie.
And was he a younger kid at the
Oh, yeah,
so,
he was a lot younger. And they sent him up, and Abbott's like,
Oh,
he
heck
goes,
yeah.
I don't care. He's like, Abbott has nothing to prove to anybody.
He doesn't
Like,
need to prove anything.
Yeah,
he doesn't need to
just
prove
doesn't
anything.
care about any of it either. Like,
No.
he sees how corrupt and how messed up
So
it
true.
is. And
So true. So true.
I almost got him on the Howard Stern show, and he was going to do that.
Really?
But
Wow.
they, not Howard Stern, but the people that I was close to,
Right.
who are actually his family, they
He didn't want to.
they
do
try to do this business deal, and he goes, I would do it to help
Right,
you,
right.
and I'm like, well, it's not really helping me, but it's like, kind of to help you get the word out. And,
Correct.
and he was like, he just didn't really even care, but
And refresh our memory, because I knew he would. I mean, he was a tad older than me. So I mean,
Yeah.
was he probably 80 something when he did pass? Or did he make it even that age? It's hard to say, but
I don't even remember.
yeah.
I'd
But it
have
was
to
a while
go-
ago. He's been gone a while.
Yeah,
been gone.
he
a while.
passed away a while
Yeah,
ago,
poor
for
guy.
sure.
Do you think he died?
Oh, he's
do you
amazing.
think he did die with some calm and repose? And good.
But I'll say this, and I know it's a long story here, but
But no, continue.
This kid,
we love it.
this guy from Tom Hanks' media thing.
Keep with that one. I want to know about that. Yeah.
So we did this huge event up northern Maine, Rockport.
I know Rockport.
It's on Moosehead Lake.
Correct,
Just a really
correct.
beautiful place.
It is.
It's like all these camps for rent and
It
stuff
is so
there.
beautiful. We're blessed in this state. But anyway.
Yeah, we are. And so all these famous musicians, it was just loaded with amazing people.
That's
And
kind of like a
everyone's-
trip in and of itself.
yeah.
Am I really here?
And so all these kids of all these famous musicians are there and playing, and it's like,
So you get some good head count there.
yes, it was like, it was just so much
How much
fun.
I was going to say, how much fun could
So
that
much
have been?
fun.
How
Oh
much
my
fun
God.
could that have
And they all wanted to trip,
been? Yep, of course.
all of them.
Yeah.
And so, I was the medicine man. at
Yeah,
that
you were,
point. I
you were.
don't do that anymore. Just
No, he
to make
doesn't.
it clear,
No,
like,
he doesn't.
that's not
No, he
me. I
doesn't.
don't even know how. I look back and
Well,
But-
retrospect and hindsight and all that kind of stuff.
so he's telling me who to give it to, and so I'm giving it to people, and then a lot of them are coming up because they hear and they're like, "Oh, can we do it?" And oh my God, so many people, and what I had was so strong.
Did you have that much to take care of them?
Oh yeah,
Oh, okay,
it
you
was
were all set. You
super
were all set.
concentrated too. And
Yeah.
but that's another story.
Yeah, a long time ago.
And so we're in this ballroom, and he's playing and singing, and people are dancing. It's just
Everywhere.
totally wild.
Yep.
And he ate a lot, and he's like, after like an hour and a half, he goes, "I don't feel it." I was like, he goes, "Give me more." I said, "All right."
Oh.
And I gave him more.
Yeah.
Same thing. We're just in there playing, dancing. And then out of nowhere, he just stops playing
It must have
piano.
really kicked in at
And
some
you
point.
can see him. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
and he gets up and he vomits all over in front of everybody.
Whoa.
And he looks at me, space, space. And I'm like, ah. And so I ran over
Right.
with another friend. We just immediately went and picked him up.
Yep.
Held him up, vomit all over him, all on the
Oh,
floor.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he's like, he told me a joke. He's like, you know what the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was? And I was like, what? And he goes, acting like he doesn't exist. And I was like, I didn't know what he meant by it, but it started to kind of make sense.
I think I know where he was going.
But before he threw up,
Yep.
he said, "Get that kid, the Tom Hanks kid,
and then he
give him some." And I was like, "Well, has he ever done it?"
Right.
He goes, "I don't know." He goes, "Give him some. He wants to try it." And I was like, "Have you done it before?" He goes, "Yeah, I think so." He's like, "It makes you feel really hot, right?" And I was like, "You'll feel hot. You'll feel cold. You'll feel
it all.
everything.
You'll feel it all."
And
Yep.
And Abbott's like, "Give him a big dose, Space. Do it."
Okay. Okay.
So I gave it to him. And as soon as Abbott threw up and we brought him back,
Correct.
This kid lost it.
I'm sure he did.
Completely, like,
It obviously was his first time, right?
it was his first time.
Right.
And it was really, really strong. And he was just like, "What did you guys do?" And so Abbott, same thing like that morning. He couldn't talk to anybody at all. He was just going off on his own internal thing. And same thing happened to that kid, the Tom Hanks kid. And so we got everybody else situated. They were the two who lost it the hardest.
Correct.
And so I stayed in there with them and just like, try to calm them down.
Oh, it really
and then they
is.
start arguing, like as they're both coming back.
I've done that too.
Yeah, no, they're arguing. He's like, Abbot, F you brought me these crazy people.
Then
And Abbot's like, oh, you stupid little jerk. He's like, you're part of a corrupt industry. Like, they're going back and forth. I'm just trying to. So, the end of the story, when this kid came down, when he got off
it must have been a while
of
for him
that,
to do
it took well into the next day.
I'll bet it did.
He was like, totally different person. He's like, I'm going to go to India and I'll be right back. And we're like,
What?
I was like, when? He goes, right now.
Right now.
I was like, we're all like, all right,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, good,
He went
good.
to India. There was a woman there that he knew. He brought her back to hang out with all of us up there.
So he actually kind of got enlightened?
He quit working for Tom Hanks.
Wow.
He saw through.
He got it.
All
got
of
it.
He just
He got it. He got it.
So it changed his life forever.
Yep.
He threw away probably what could be an illustrious career for people
I'm
who
sure,
are
I'm sure.
brainwashed into that whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
But it changed his life, and he became a meditation practitioner and very humble. He went from thinking he knew it all
to know I
to
don't
realizing,
know.
I don't know.
I'm just a guy.
anything.
I'm just a guy.
Yes.
I'm just a guy. That's wonderful. So the trip, pun intended, the trip was a good trip to Revelation. That's awesome.
Yes,
That's awesome. Listen, I know we got to keep you on the clock. You got time to start telling some home stories, or do you need to get going to get to?
What time is it right now?
Good question. Let's see. 5:18.
Yeah, we got. Do you want to? We could do a meditation.
Let's do a meditation. You know what?
Okay.
That forces you. You got to
We'll
come
do it
back
another
next
time.
time.
Yeah, and I will. I'll be back in a month.
Okay, good. So take it away. Let's do a meditation.
All right. So we're gonna do what we call a coherence meditation, and it's actually not even really a meditation. It is a practice with meditation elements in it, because a lot of meditation is mind-based. This is heart and mind-based, and I call them coherence activations because that's more in line with it is, because when you get into coherence, you return to a state of being like we all were as children, where there was awareness, but there was no language or beliefs or thoughts to cause tunnel vision in us. But when we get back into this now, we begin to activate these dormant perceptual centers that are in everybody. And as we begin to do that, our quality of life begins to get a lot better. And we begin to get calm, and we learn how to have faith and trust in life, because life is the best teacher. And what are we? Are we just who we think we are in these bodies? Like, is that what we are? What we are is an invisible, beyond genius, intelligence, electromagnetic frequency that is animating us. That is what we are. And who we are, Sal, Bill, is an extension of that. But the world doesn't teach us to focus on who we think it teaches us to focus on who we think we are, and with no regard for what we are. And what we are is actually the most predominant force in our life compared to who we think we are. So get comfortable, and wherever you are, just relax your body and trust that whether you're sitting in a chair or a couch or a bed, just reassure yourself that you are being supported so much that you don't have to focus on who you think you are, your identity, the mind that gets stuck in these loops of thinking and feeling that are stress-based. Just know that you're safe, you're supported, and in these moments together, we have the opportunity to become more conscious of the nature of our consciousness by tuning into the source of our life force. And again, this life force that we are, or the soul, you could call it, this isn't just some made-up belief. The life force is a literal force of energy that is causing all the systems of our body to work together, whether we're sleeping or awake. And it is so intelligent. It's not random. It knows how to keep us in these bodies. But we live in a world where they just brush that aside, or they liken it up to religion, try to make us feel like we're losers, that we're born wrong or in sin, and we have to do what we're told according to what the church or society deems for us, which is essentially to become like worker bees, to fill their corporate places of industry that are connected to all kinds of unsustainable or non-sustainable activities. And now we're beginning to see all of that come to fruition. And so that life force is so intelligent. It is miraculous. And when we are totally at peace, when we're totally supported, we can take our attention and begin to focus on this miracle of life force that we are. And when we do that, and we do it regularly, it begins to influence us. And that's where amazing things begin to happen. So trust where you are. Just completely relax your whole body. Slow your breathing down so that it's deeper than normal, slower, and as rhythmic as you can do, like maybe 5 seconds on the inhale, 5 seconds on the exhale. And don't worry, you can't mess this up. So your body's relaxed, your breathing is slow, and then my favorite part is the inner smile. And you can put a huge smile if you want, but an inner smile will suffice, because no matter what mood you're in, no matter how much you're suffering or struggling or anything that you just feel so out of touch with the miracle of life that you actually are, when you put that smile on your face, you immediately send the feeling of that smile, which is usually happy or joy, whatever it makes you feel like when you put that smile on your face. As soon as you put it there, just like pushing a button or flicking a switch, your heart will carry that feeling throughout your entire body. And the side effect of all of this is you get to become more in touch with this innate intelligence to the degree where you open up a dialogue with it and you begin to form a relationship with it. And the more that you do this and you get into these states and you sustain them, keep doing it. At one point, you're going to wake up. Literally, you'll get out of bed and you'll notice, wow, I feel so much better than I did. All of my suffering, all my pain is, even if it's not gone, it's just lessened. It's become so weak that it doesn't affect me. And when you're in that state, it's just like being a child again. You feel awe and wonder and curiosity, and everything's new, and there's new possibility around every corner. And we all come from that. But as we grow up, we get taught to be all serious so we can compete with each other and find our place amidst the corporate environment. No, not anymore. We are choosing to return to these states of purity just like we were when we were children, but we're doing it now as adults, and we're doing it with integrity. We're turning on our love for life, and we keep turning it on till the habit sticks. But because we're older, we can exercise greater wisdom. We can make choices that benefit us and others. And when we get into these states of heart and brain, whole body, whole soul coherence, we begin to remember why we came here. We begin to remember how sacred every single breath we give and take is. We become humbled because we recognize that all these complex systems of the body are being operated beyond our conscious awareness. And a beautiful part or caveat in all of this is that when we get into these states, we bridge the gap between the conscious mind and the unconscious. And as we bridge that gap more and more, as we practice every day, we become more conscious of the unconscious components of ourselves. And eventually that bridge becomes completed. And you're operating at a level that maybe you would call super consciousness, but it's actually not. It's actually normal. We all are this. This is reality. This is what is going on, and all the chaos, death, fire, pain, destruction, disorder, none of that is nearly as significant as these states of being. So relax even deeper. Slow your breathing down. Feel the effect of that inner smile. And if you can feel your heartbeat, and it's okay if you don't, but if you feel your heartbeat, you can begin to practice getting really good at feeling it. And then when you can feel your pulse anywhere in your body, because you're so in tune with it, later we're going to focus on different places to focus that awareness, feeling, that combination of choice, uplifted states of being through the smile, and then the innate intelligence of God, of source, of soul, of divine, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is. And you combine all of those elements in specific areas throughout the brain, the heart, the gut, and other places to begin to activate these dormant perceptual abilities that we all have, that nobody taught us how to focus on, but now we are. So keep in mind everything that we shared. The process is so simple. It just requires you choosing to do it consistently every day until you turn it into a habit. And when your life starts improving and you realize that you doing this inner work played a hand in you feeling better or reaching a goal or overcoming an obstacle, when you realize that you had a part in that because you chose to get more in tune with the most important relationship, certainly of my life, which is me, the person I think I am, conscious of and in coherence or harmony with the life force. When you into those states and you experience the benefit with the knowledge that you played a part in it, you become passionate. You become more committed and more consistent to developing this inner awareness, and you want to see what you can do. Because the more we get into all of this personally and collectively, the more clear it becomes that we have never not been empowered. We just didn't know what being empowered was because nobody ever taught us. Even though we're like that when we're children, most people never taught us what that was. But that's changed because now we are. And as we become conscious of all that we've been unconscious of, we're becoming conscious of everything that we have unconsciously consented to infiltrating our mind, meaning everything external, all the doctors, lawyers, school teachers, institutions, churches, religion. We unconsciously consented to allowing that into our awareness, and we formed a self-identity based on all of that. And when we realize that we can purge all of it, we can recondition who we want to be, who we choose to be, and then we have access to the power that allows us to do that. So keep all of this in mind and do this as many times as you want by listening to this. It has no expiration date on it. And so for those who want to stay in this state, you can just hang up on the call. For those who want to come into a more waking state, take your hands, rub them together, get them nice and hot. And then when they are, palms of your hand over your eyes and make it dark. And notice in that dark if you see or sense or feel anything. It's okay if you don't. This will teach you how to truly perceive with these activated sensations and senses that I'm talking about.
Woo! Much like when we do freedomsnap.org each and every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm awake now. What.com. Much like when we leave the meeting and hey, everybody, thanks for stopping by. There's been so many times I've woken up afterwards because I'm in so deep. It's like, where'd the guys go? Oh, I guess it must be over. The voice, the breathing, all of it. All I can say is I do this most day. I do it every day. I do it every single day. And I try to do it first thing in the morning for a reason to brace around all this other stuff I'm doing. But I do it I'm retired, of course, too, so, I might have more time. But you guys and gals can do it if you are in the workplace or something. And I've been there and done that. No versus on the workplace. It might be a great idea to do that. Maybe instead of a 2 o'clock break and hit the Snickers bar. But geez, my friend. But I do it 2 or 3 times a day, and I've been doing it for a while now. And I did my own factions and all of that before, I've been with Seth for a really long time, really long time. But as he really made a concerted effort, and thank the Lord he did, to do this, I chimed into a different level of it, even though I've been doing it for years. And by doing this a couple or 3 times a day, really, don't sweat the small stuff. And the other stuff is going to roll out. And old Bette Davis movie, it's going to be a little bit bumpy ride, for sure. But this, us, the connection, the groups, I was kid around a little train that could or whatever. It's so important. One at a time can become a significant number.
Yeah.
And it is becoming a significant number. And I also have to button my lip. I'll let Seth share some really good news about the numbers are growing. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that, and he can elaborate on that next time.
Yeah.
We really got to get him out of here because he's
Yeah.
got to get to his next band. So everybody, thank you so much. Try it, you'll like it. Try it, you'll like it.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same time, same station. And you know what? I like my odds. I'll be there. Have a good day. Peace, everybody.